Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to show you how I made this nebula using Blender and After Effects. Now, I know After Effects is used primarily for motion graphics, and I could be using Photoshop, but I don't have enough money to afford Photoshop, so I have to make do. You can use whatever editing software makes you feel comfortable. Alright, let's not waste any more time and get started. The first thing we're going to do is take the default cube and scale it up to increase our volumetric domain size. Add a gradient texture, and using the Node Wrangler add-on, hit Ctrl T to add a mapping and texture coordinates node. Make sure the coordinates are set to object. Add a Mix RGB node in between these two nodes and set the blending mode to linear light, and add a noise texture and set the size to 1, then plug the color output into the Color 2 input. Arrange however need be, then duplicate the setup and plug it all in again. Select all of these nodes, then hit Ctrl G to compact it into its own node. One thing I forgot to mention is to make the initial shape thick enough to be scaled down by the color ramps we're about to add. Add a color ramp and a math node set to multiply and the value to about 50, and then plug it into the density socket of a principal volume shader. No need to set the multiply value too high because we can use the separate render option under the volumes tab to really define the look. Add another color ramp and plug it into the emission strength input. Duplicate the color ramp again, but use a source as the one used for the emission strength, then plug it into emission color. Backspace is useful for quickly resetting any node or value, so backspace on the new color ramp and start playing around with the colors to your liking. Make sure you're using reference if you're trying to mimic a real nebula, or just go crazy. You do you. Add an emission shader node with a noise setup as the strength and a color gradient for, well, the color. Again, mess with the settings to your liking. Add some point lights to the scene, setting their power and radius values to something pretty low. I'm changing the colors to something like orange and magenta to mimic the stars you see in NASA photos. Play around with the settings to your liking, and once we're done here, we'll render out and then we'll bounce on over to After Effects. In After Effects, we'll drop our render into a new comp. Add a white solid and drop in the CC Starburst effect. Add a solid set to whatever color you like, drop the opacity to see it better, and start masking around the nebula. Crank the opacity back up to 100, then feather the mask to something like 50 pixels. Make sure the CC Starburst layer is under this new matte we just created, and select Alpha Inverted Matte. Duplicate the stars again and change the scatter, phase, and size settings to help fill out the background. Pre-compose these star layers, then go in and add some glows to these layers. Here, I color them with Video Copilot's Color Vibrance plugin. Back in our main comp, add a new solid with Video Copilot's Optical Flares plugin. I used a glint preset with the global color set to the same color as our stars. Adjust and scale the sides of these flares to better suit your scene, then place them wherever the stars are interacting with the nebula. Now, I'm adding a curves adjustment layer to add some contrast and a black solid with an ellipse mask set to subtract and the feathering set to 750 pixels to use as a vignette. I won't go into too much detail from here on out, so just play with the settings and try it out for yourself. Anyways, that's it guys. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see me make more content, feel free to leave a comment down below to let me know what you want to see. And since you're here, why not subscribe while you're at it? Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time around.